I thought the live stream was going to start, but I pushed the wrong button. I pushed that one instead of that one. It's like I've never done this before. Hello, everybody.
As long as you haven't pushed end live stream, we'll be all right.
I have not pushed end live stream.
Good.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Just pushing end live stream.
My brain is small enough without you confusing me as well. This is not going to go well.
I thought this week was meant to be more smooth.
Oh, no. It never works that way.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us on yet another Present Day Production live stream. We're doing part 2 of last week's live stream covering your questions about your business. If you've never seen us before and you have no idea who we are, my name is James and I'm the resident tech wizard.
Ooh, and my name's Mark, and yeah.
Oh, that was a bit shit, wasn't it?
Your intros are getting more and more concise by the week.
Last week he was,
that's all you need to know, isn't it?
Last week he'd gone from fat and grumpy mastering engineer to just fat and grumpy, and now he's just...
No, it's just Mark.
No, you just exist.
Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway, I'm Sam. What's up, everyone? And I'm a music producer.
Oh, gangster. So, yes, we are here doing part 2 of last week. We got 7 questions through out of the 14 that we had selected from our wonderful members on the Client Acquisition Blueprint. Do you have any news or anything interesting that you would like to present before we start? Because you're looking at me as though there's something you want to say.
No, there's tons of stuff that's happened in a week since we were here.
There's always tons
How
of
did we
stuff.
enjoy the Christmas do? Did we enjoy the Christmas do? Because we left to go to the Christmas do last week, didn't we?
We did.
How was the Christmas do? Give it a score out of 10. I'd give it a solid 9.
I'll give it a solid 12.
Oh, okay.
I'll put a picture up on screen. So we went to see the National Youth Orchestra. There's the orchestra without any orchestras.
They're all invisible.
It was one of those events where you feel kind of bad for taking photos mid-performance. You don't want to be that person on your phone.
Yeah,
and I was like,
there was a big sign up saying no mobile phones as well.
So that didn't happen. But I can tell you it was a very impressive show. It was, very, very good. I think it was a 160-piece orchestra, is that right?
Indeed, yeah.
Very, very impressive. And, yeah, it just sounded absolutely incredible.
And they were all really young as well. They were all kind of... they're proper kids, aren't they? It's
Well, yeah. I mean, but they were incredibly talented.
They were incredibly talented.
That's what I thought. And
I thought they were all in their early 20s, to be perfectly honest with you. And then when you turn
No,
around
no,
to me...
No,
that's what I thought, because I
before we
didn't
went,
know
yeah.
anything about it. And when we were listening to them, then in the break, I said, so how old are they? And you were like, well, I think they're about 13, 17.
Well, it is called Youth Orchestra.
Yeah.
Well, that's young to me.
Yeah.
Being in your 20s is young.
I was going to say 20s
I guess
young.
it is now. Now we're getting old. But yeah, no, they were. A lot of them were younger than I'd expected, and some of them have only been playing 2 or 3 years, and some of them it was their first concert, and they were absolutely brilliant. I mean, you could not fault that as an orchestra at all. It's just one of the best I've ever heard. I thought they were absolutely incredible. Loved it.
Sam's doing that thing where he looks like he's about to say something or sneeze, but I'm not sure.
No, it's because I want you to turn you and Mark down in my ears and turn me up, if you could do that somehow, because you're very loud. But I just didn't want to interrupt the live stream. But lo and behold, that's exactly what I've done. So edit this out of your minds, please. Thank you very much.
Anyway, so let's move onwards to the actual live stream.
To the next question.
So, okie dokie. Let's get started. So, question 8, always the best question to start on. I'm a mixing engineer. I live and work in Italy, and I've always been focused more on the craft than the business. This has led me to a place where it's been a really hard time finding clients and getting paid the right money. In other words, I still can't make a living out of this amazing job. After many years spent trying different directions and going around without a precise path, I stopped and started asking myself questions. I worked for the last 3 months with a group of Italian music business consultants, and since then I really started to see things differently, and I'm constantly trying to gather more and more information, even from different people and perspectives, in order to truly explore the business side of the job in depth. That's when they came across our type of content that we started sharing a while ago. I've always had a feeling you people were really serious about this, and it was so nice seeing you become friends with fellow Italian engineer Stefano Civetta, who did the same audio school I did many years before me. So, I'm currently in a strategy design phase. That's why I still don't have a public website or any type of niche-specific content, but I'm planning on going out with long-form content on YouTube as soon as possible. If I had to think about my number one sticking point, I'm not really sure if it would be a wise choice to keep offering a bundled mixing and mastering service. Here in Italy, this practice is so common even at the higher levels. By the way, I totally understand the benefits of handing the mix to a trusted mastering engineer. Mm-hmm. So, do they niche down or not? That's the question.
Yeah, so you can offer a bundled service, but what's critical is that you do the mixing and you hire a mastering engineer to do the mastering, because that ups your quality, and and it depends who your client is. So a lot of clients, they don't care about the actual process. They don't care about the mixing and the mastering or stems or anything like that. They just want an outcome. They want a finished piece of music that is ready for whatever they are going to do with it. But it's positioning yourself as an expert mix engineer in that genre that gets you those clients in the first place. And then when they don't care about the process, they just care about the outcome. That's when you can, a client like that, you can charge enough money to hire a dedicated mastering engineer who you can then build a relationship with. And then what quite often happens is, and what happened with me a lot, is when that mastering engineer gets someone, contact them who needs a mix done, who thinks their song is ready for mastering because they might not know the different processes, and you listen to it and go, no, this needs a remix, then your mastering engineer has a mix engineer, you, who he can then refer that work to. So because your rates are going up, because you're attracting expert clients who want an outcome and are prepared to pay for it, you don't need to separate the processes for the client, because the client doesn't care about the processes. But if you separate them, then you're getting paid for the mixing. You hire a dedicated mastering engineer to do the mastering. That means you haven't got to do the mastering. So you've then got time free to grow your business and attract more clients. And there's a couple of key things I want to bring out from the question. One is, here in Italy, here in Italy, this practice is so common even at the higher levels. That's bundling, mixing and mastering. So there's an opportunity for you to stick out there by working with a dedicated mastering engineer and offering a higher quality service, because you've got experts at each step of the way. And the second thing, which was earlier in the question, where you said, I've worked for the last 3 months with a group of Italian, I can't read today. I've worked for the last 3 months with a group of Italian music business consultants, and since then I really started to see things differently. That is massive, and that is absolutely what you should be doing. And there's a temptation with a lot of people who are mixing or whatever. They binge watch YouTube videos on the latest plugins and compression tricks and EQ tricks and all that stuff. And actually none of that matters. If you haven't got any clients, you need to be educating yourself in business and how business works. And that's one of the key differences with us over the last 5 years. We've built a network of mentors and consultants, people that have built multi-million pound businesses, in some cases multi-hundreds of millions of pound businesses, some in audio, some not in audio, one particularly in broadcast, one very much in audio, one in children's play centres. But those there are practices that the guy who runs the children's play centres can teach me that apply equally to client acquisition and how to run a business and how to grow your business. It doesn't matter whether you're trying to attract more people to send you music to mix, or whether you're trying to get more kids into a play centre. You basically need to approach the same kind of strategies. So the fact that you're actually going out and spending time with a group of Italian music business consultants is fantastic, because that will help you to grow and expand. What are you laughing at?
Just I'm being inappropriate. No, fully agree with everything
Sorry,
you've said.
excuse me being inappropriate.
What? Is it because I mentioned that? Let's not go there. Yeah,
I
so
think it was more the look, wasn't it? It's just our eyes met at precisely the wrong time.
oh, how romantic.
Yeah.
So I'd say absolutely separate the mixing and the mastering, and then you'll stand out with the normal in Italy, because if you're the normal, then you're in the red ocean again. So that'll put you in a blue ocean, and you frame that to the client as I don't master my own mixes because I want a second set of objective ears on your music to guarantee the quality, and that's why I partner with this mastering engineer. That's a good way to frame that, to position yourself as an expert in that niche. It's not a weakness, I can't do mastering, it's a strength, I use an expert. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yep.
Anything to add?
Just devil's advocate, well, not even devil's advocate, but like finding a dedicated mastering engineer that you want to work with and just taking it back to the social media again.
Yeah.
Opportunity to collaborate. And say,
exactly.
I do X, Y, Z, and this is who I go to, and this person is fantastic. And then, you've got a little bit of extra content you can work with.
Yep. And just audience feedback on that. So Major Brass has said, Sam has elevated my production level so much with him being a master in that field. I'd 1,000% recommend getting your own dedicated mastering engineer. So someone to hand off a second pair of ears to, let them focus on their specific skill set.
Yeah, and let's make, probably before we continue as well, let's reiterate one point from last week and from our emails and from the calls and from our videos. At the moment, there's an awful lot of AI is going to kill us all. Now's a terrible time to be trying to earn a living in music production or mixing or mastering or podcasts or whatever. There's a lot of doom and gloom out there at the moment, and that's because doom and gloom sells. If you see a video saying AI will kill us all, this is how the news works. People watch the news because there's a scary headline.
It's basically clickbait.
Yeah, basically, and that's how news has worked. That's what sells a newspaper. It's the front page. But when you actually forget all that and start to sort of adopt a positive mindset, now is absolutely the best. There has never been a better time in the history of ever to be doing this. And if you can't do it, it's not AI's fault. It's not Trump's fault. It's not, it's not some bizarre catfish that's taking over the sewers of
Mexico.
Dubu's fault. It's your fault because you're not. I mean, we've been getting a lot of negative comments in the not the description of the live stream, but some of the YouTube videos. Again, it's like, this is wrong. Now it's terrible. I'm on Fiverr and I can only charge £5 for a mix. That's
because that's how you've positioned yourself, which goes back to what we were saying about positioning and all that kind of stuff, making yourself look like a professional that's worth paying more for.
Yeah. But even being able to charge £5 for a mix isn't something you could have done 25 years ago.
No.
You were either a mixing engineer working in a studio or you weren't.
But also,
there was no opportunity to do that.
Saying about these people that are like, AI is stealing my jobs, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it might be, whatever. But there are 100,000 tools out there that nowadays can help you to run a business, whether it's music or it's a cooking business or whatever it might be. There are so many tools that can help you optimize the business and work out plans for finding new clients and getting systems working so you don't have to mess around with sending files to people, all that kind of stuff to simplify your life and allow you to focus in on the more important stuff.
Yeah,
there's no reason why you can't be using that stuff now. And if
exactly,
if you're not using it, you're just not looking hard enough for it.
Yeah, and it's about being able to evolve and embrace situations. So I use I use AI to generate our thumbnails now because
start putting sentences together.
Yeah, because it does it faster and better than I can.
Yeah.
So we use it in lots of other aspects of our business as well. Where we don't use it is if someone sends in a track for an Atmos mix or a master to just do that and pretend we've done it. The
thing is, like, there have been some people in the comments and on our Discord, whatever, that have said, like, why are you guys using AI for this? Surely it's a waste of time, or you're not using your talents or whatever. But to be honest, if in the case of making a thumbnail for this live stream, for example, Mark can mess around for 45 minutes putting photos together, whatever, and that's taking him out of the business for 45 minutes, or Just say, I need a photo of this, stick it on the thing, done. Don't waste time on shit that you don't need to be wasting time on. And that's where those kind of tools can really help.
Yeah,
you're optimizing the way that you're working.
And I'm not firing a graphic designer because we
didn't have one.
Exactly, we weren't using one anyway, so no one's lost their job there. I don't know a single mastering engineer that has lost any work at all because AI has taken over.
No.
Because AI is for, and again, this is about positioning yourself in the right place in the market, which is one of the modules in the course. The low dollar, the low ticket clients will use Lambda or insert other AI mastering service here because they want 10 tracks done for 20 quid a month.
Well, that's where the AI thing in the music industry started, didn't it? With mastering, really.
Pretty much.
Because it's the easiest thing to develop some kind of machine learning algorithm for, essentially. But, I've been doing a lot of the mastering here for the last year, and I don't think that my clients would want to interface with an AI.
Well, that's the thing.
Questions
what you're paying for is answering questions and having you're getting some of that knowledge that the engineer has and being able to say, I don't quite like that. Can you do this instead? Whereas with some tools online, you just can't do that.
Well,
you're given what you're given.
I was mastering a project just this week, and it sounded great, but there was a little bit too much sub in the kick, which was, causing an issue on various speaker systems. And the best fix for it was actually to say, take it back to the mix engineer, who I knew. So that was easy to do. AI would just...
It would just try and fix it.
Shit out a master for you. And say, exactly. There you go. That's it. We had to really dive into the details about that. And it was a conversation. And it was also... AI also doesn't have the emotional intelligence to reassure a client and say, well, actually, no, this mix is fucking brilliant. It's just this one little thing. That we need. And all of a sudden, it's going to open it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's why you need a mastering engineer, because you need a different set of ears.
Exactly. Yeah.
That can take an objective listen, that can hear it for the first time when you've been stuck in that mix for so long, and you might have lost a little bit of objectivity. And again, if you're also the artist, you as well. It's collaboration. It's teamwork.
Exactly.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Oh yes,
it does. And in terms of offering your service to the world, people buy from people. There will be the 90% of the market, so the 90% of people that have got 45% of the 40% of the budget available, that will use AI and just want the cheapest possible way to do something. They are not your clients, and they should never be your clients. And that was largely what this week's thumbnail was about as well. And we know because we've had them. And the client that you charge £40 an hour for to do something will pretty much always be a pain in the arse and want endless revisions.
Yep. And
they just want more and more and more because they've got that mindset. They just want to pay the least amount of money for the most amount of stuff. Whereas when you start attracting the 9% and the 1%, so the professionals, the people that are actually earning money themselves in the music business, all those problems go away largely because you're working with professional clients that want an outcome. And if you can sell them that outcome, then you can attract those clients.
I think the discussion around AI is quite interesting as well. I know we've all done quite a lot of extensive research into this for business reasons over the last year. And it seems to me that actually being in the creative industries is one of the most protected industries at the moment with, the development of these different AI tools that we're using. To kind of compare it a lot to where a lot of manufacturing left, quote unquote Western countries and went over to China and places like that, sort of 40 years ago, 50 years ago maybe. And now it's just a different type of outsourcing that's happening. And unfortunately, it is going to affect certain people's kind of jobs, people that work in maybe doing administrative tasks. But for a business like this, that's a key thing because you're not having to outsource the administrative tasks. It's helping you to grow as a business because it's taking that weight off. But it's like AI labour almost, which I know we don't need to get into the socio-economic political side of things, but just from the point of view of being a creative person, I can't see a route at the moment where that's going to actually impact creatives. It's an opportunity. 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, I'm not Mystic Meg. I don't know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
But what I'm seeing just in this industry, I'm not seeing that effect. I'm seeing a lot of people go and use things like Suno, but they're not musicians that are going and using Suno.
They're people that can't write music.
Exactly. So
me.
And you're just getting... And what's really funny is a lot of this stuff is being informed by very generic music. We can all talk about music over the last sort of 10, 15, 20 years. It's got very generic. So what's informing the AI? Generic music. So what are you going to get out of the AI? Generic music.
Yeah. And it's great for generic music.
Yeah, exactly.
It's brilliant for that. So let it do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really firmly believe that now is the best time to be doing this. But you've got to be able to evolve, and the world's going to change. It's going to change massively. I mean, our not going too deep into the weeds, but our schooling system doesn't work anymore. Our schooling system was created in the late 1800s so as you start for the Industrial Revolution. Before that, if you owned your own business, your clients were within a kind of 10-mile radius because you only had horses and carts and stuff like that. There was no one from London doing business with anyone in San Francisco because they were, thousands of miles apart. But then the Industrial Revolution came along, and the school system is designed to make you start on the bell, go for your break on the bell, come back on the bell, finish on the bell. It basically regiments you for work in a factory, and that doesn't really apply anymore. So I think it's important that you're sort of aware of what's going on in the world, and that you've got the ability to change what you're to have an open mind, basically. And if something comes along that threatens to wipe our entire industry out, think, okay, well, actually, no, that's going to wipe out the 90%. But it's not the 90% I'm worried about. We're putting ourselves very much in the top 10% category, and that is how it was in the first video we did a couple of weeks ago on this. That is how you do it. You need to attract clients that are very good at what they do, and need a professional to help them achieve that outcome. And they won't start using AI. They just won't, because they want to deal with people, not a machine.
Agreed.
Are you going to put ones and zeros in a room with some more ones and zeros, and are they going to make beautiful music together?
Yeah. Good luck to them.
The world may change drastically over the next 50 to 100 years, but people are still going to want to connect and communicate. Maybe not all people, but enough people will.
Yeah. And just as we're on the kind of topic of outsourcing and all that kind of thing, so Genghis Ghost has said, he sent a couple of comments, I'm just going to go through them. You guys really opened my eyes and put a lot of things in perspective last live stream. I've had a lot of work to catch up with after my hospital stay, but can't wait to get started with the course. So it's the guy that was hit by a car. Hope you're doing okay. Hope you're not too broken. I don't like mastering. I'd rather outsource that 100%. I always did it as an extra add-on because people want a finished product. Now I just need to find someone to work with remotely to handle my mastering. That shouldn't be too difficult in the day and age where we've got all of these kind of social interaction things online. Yes, okay, in-person networking is better, but if you don't have the option for that, there are things like, for example, our Discord channel. There are mixing engineers, mastering engineers. You've got forums online. You can find all of these people who are likely in the same boat as you, trying to find someone to collaborate with or to build their network with. So if you're struggling to find someone, I don't know if you are struggling, but that's what I got from your message. If you're struggling to find someone to collaborate with, there are so many people online in the same boat, and there are all of these places you can find them. You just got to do a little digging, put some messages out, say, hey, I'm doing this kind of music, I need someone who can do this, and there will be someone online who can do that.
And critically, that goes back to what we were saying last week about we need to re-engineer the course so as it builds a community, because if you're a mixing engineer, there are people who've joined the course who are mastering engineers, who I've looked into and we trust because I've seen their work and it's great.
Sure.
So that should be your first point of call if you need someone to collaborate with. And that's why we need to turn this into a community as well, a community of people that are in the top 10% and are working with the top 10%. And we can do loads of free content and loads of YouTube videos for people that aren't, for people that are you know, lower down doing the 90%. That needs to be free. But for people working in the top 10%, that's what, you know, that's where we need to build the community, so you've got access to these people, and it's something we're working really hard on as well. And people that have joined the course will be the first to know. You know, there will be a big thank you for having joined the course in terms of how much it costs as well. So if you join, you'll get more value than what you've already paid, because it's this, you know, this is actually already helping a lot of people out there, which is great. And it's broadening our network of people that are very good at what they do.
It's helping us out. We're meeting so many more people through email feedback. I mean, you've been great getting in touch with everyone that's, you know.
Yeah, if you have joined the course and you haven't heard from me yet, apologise. It's been a busy week, but you will, because I want to, you know, the more feedback we can get, the more we can work into launching the next thing and just making it even better.
Yep.
But the community aspect, I think, is essential for that. And I want to do, you know, in-person events as well.
I'm quite excited.
I want
for
to
those
actually
as well.
have people in a room, because the stuff we've been doing at School Farm over the past year has been amazing.
Yeah.
And so I want to do a lot of that as well. So that's all kind of going around in my head at the moment.
Cool. So, shall we move on to the next question?
Yeah.
So, the next one is a beautifully branded online mixing and mastering service. That's the title. I think my business is at its starting point, to be honest. I've been working for years to reach where I am now. Mostly I was working on my skills, but I do want to work more on how to market myself, hence the purchase of the course. Thank you very much. At the moment, I can sustain myself without an additional day job, but I definitely want an income that makes me more secure. Also, I'm reliant on services like Fiverr for most of my work, something that I desperately want to change. It's an unstable environment that constantly asks more from its sellers to be able to function in it. My main goal and hope is that the course helps me build clients that reach me without relying on freelancer websites. I have to be honest, the niching part is very difficult for me. I've worked on many genres and I feel like I've been good at most. I mostly mix and master music, and I don't know if I can just remove, for example, mastering from my services. Most clients want me to also master because because their budget doesn't extend to hire a decent mastering engineer as well, and sometimes they just don't even want to search for one. Genre-wise, I'm very confident in metal and rock. I really know both genres very well, and I've done work in orchestral, hip-hop and pop that I'm proud of. I do listen to a lot of genres and respect most, so again, I do struggle niching down. Would you consider the mixing and mastering part to be a niche of itself? I produce and record local bands and artists, but I don't advertise that as much. Long story short, the niching down part is very scary for me at this point in time.
Yeah, and it's scary for a lot of people, but the critical thing with the niching down is that that's how you attract the 10% clients. Now, I think I said last week that if I wanted to make a funk record, there is one producer I would go to who I've worked with in the past and would absolutely nail it. But there's also one studio I would go to. So if I wasn't paying for it, say a label was paying for it, and I had 3 choices of recording studio that didn't cost me anything because the label were paying, I could go to Real World, Peter Gabriel's gaff, I could go to Abbey Road, or I could go to Big Noise in Southend. I would pick Big Noise in Southend, because that will be the best studio for me to go and make a funk record, because my chosen producer uses that studio a lot because it's the best place to make a funk record. He's got all the gear from the 70s to make an authentic funk record. If I want to overdub a clavinet line, there's a clavinet ready to go. If I want to add Rhodes or Whirly, there's a Rhodes and a Whirly ready to go. If I want to put Hammond on it, there's a Hammond on it ready to go. There's a selection of vintage guitar amps. There's highly appropriate drum kits. We can record digitally or we can record to tape. He is optimized for making funk records, and guess what he does for a living? He makes really good funk records. So because he's niched down into that genre and isn't the generalist studio. Now, he does do other stuff as well. He'll do, he does book people in for voiceover work and stuff like that. But when I think of Simon in that studio, I think amazing funk records. And that's it, because he's positioned himself as that. So that is why you niche down. It's because you can't attract the 10% clients if you don't.
Well, that's the crucial point, isn't it? Attract.
Yeah.
You don't have to stop doing mastering, but you don't have to attract people, at least new clients, to the mastering side of your business. The new people you're trying to attract are the niche.
Yep.
And then they may learn more about you as time goes on,
Yeah.
when they become a client. And, but I think attract is the key word that you keep using there.
Finding your genre and niching down also kind of lends itself to becoming front of mind for customers. You want to be the first person that people think of, becoming front of mind. So if you think of funk, you think of Simon from Big Noise.
Yeah.
That just happens every time.
I'm going to go there.
Because he's the first person you think of, because he's set himself as an expert in that field. So if you guys can do that for your field, you become the first person, I want to do rock mixes. So it will be whoever submitted this question. Sorry, there's no name on it. So if you can put yourself as an expert and become known for that, people automatically get drawn to you because, if I want a rock mix, I'll go to George Lever because he's done all my favourite bands.
Exactly. And all these people are in the top 10%. If I want to record a jazz trio or a string quartet, guess where I'm going? I'm going to School Farm.
Yeah.
If I want to record a pop record, I'm going to be straight on the phone to Phil Harding. And I need to create a pop record. Help. And he'll go, right, we need to, let's do this there. We can use this guy's, let's get Ian Kerno in because he's got all the Lynn drums and the Fairlight stuff and all the stuff from the 80s. I'm going, why is Phil regarded as such an expert in pop production? Because he has mixed more pop records in the last 40 years than anyone else in the history of ever, and went through that whole era, and that's his niche, that's his specialist. If you want to produce a pop record, a metal record or a rock record, you're not going to phone Phil Harding, you're going to phone George Lever.
It'd be funny if I did.
Guess why? But if George Lever does everything and Phil Harding does it, so Phil Harding does pop and rock and metal and jazz and funk and soul and choral, and George Lever does the same, who the fuck do you phone? Then it's like, well, I'll just go for the cheapest. And that's why niching down is so important, because it's the only way to attract the 10% clients. And as Sam said, you can do other stuff.
Well, I'm sure George would be, now he's got himself to a point, I don't know George personally, but I would imagine now he's got himself to a point, I know his work, he could probably branch out in different directions if he wanted to, but people will still, who want a good metal record, will still gravitate towards him. Sorry, not good, sorry, great. Sorry, George. The other thing you mentioned there as well was Fiverr, wasn't it?
Yeah.
People going, now you have to think about the sorts of people that go to Fiverr in the first place.
I mean, it's in the name. They want things for a Fiverr.
Exactly.
Why would I go to Fiverr?
Cheap.
I'm going to go to Fiverr because I want something that's cheap. You might get a few clients on there. I worked with somebody who would get a bit of work through Fiverr. Every now and again, they'd get a fairly high-paying client, but I was always thinking to myself, was it worth all the effort of going through all the other stuff? Sugar that you had to go through in order to get that, £150 client, which actually on the grand scheme of things isn't a lot of money when you put all that together. Fiverr is an interesting concept in general.
And there are some people that are actually doing very well on that platform as well.
Yeah.
But it's quantity. You've got to be doing. You've got to have the quantity, and the more quantity you do and the better reviews you get, and it's that whole, it's that kind of platform where you need to have mastered 25,000 tracks in the last 10 years and have 5-star reviews on everything, and then people will trust you to do that, even though they might be paying $15 for it or something like that, and you've got to be able to, if you get a track in for mastering and you're charging $15, you've got to be able to do it in 10 minutes.
Sure.
Very well. So
but you want to take the people that are on the Fivers and the sound betters and everything else and try and actually move that towards a system where people are just coming straight to you rather than going through another system to get to you. Because even if you're going to sound better, your attention is being diverted. Yes, you've got the intention to go there and find, say, the metal mix engineer, but you are then presented with a menu, a smorgasbord of whereas you need to be front of mind.
Sure.
We can go into ways of how you can do that.
There's an interesting comment from the Mix Club saying Fiverr might be good to get your feet wet. So if you've just started, it might be good to find your initial clients and maybe find what you're good at working on, or find your favourite kind of music to be your favourite genre to work in.
Yeah, so if you're currently still in the 90%, then for I would argue that you're probably better at doing that than going to a website that has lots of free multi-tracks that you can practice with, because then you're actually practicing with clients that are paying you a very small amount of money. So that's much better than just downloading some multi-tracks from Mix with the Masters or whatever.
Yeah, but we know somebody who was attending the workshops last year who was transitioning into becoming a music producer, and the approach they took was very different. They seamlessly sort of moved from their full-time job, made that a part-time job, came up with a plan, and started going out and connecting through workshops. That's one of the reasons why they came to our workshop. But I know that they are going to many other workshops. They were deliberately going to songwriting. They're a producer.
Yep.
They're going to songwriting workshops to meet songwriters so they could produce their work. Just to throw a spanner in the works there, it's great to go and get your feet wet in Fiverr. It's a very strange alliteration there, sorry. But there are other ways to do that as well.
Better ways to do that.
Better ways, because then, breathing the same air, you're going to form a connection rather than, looking through a screen.
And I know it is difficult if you're starting from zero and you have no clients, but is there the risk of, if you go onto some of these cheap sites like Fiverr or SoundBetter, to then get stuck there? Because
they own your clients, not you.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I don't know specifically about those, but I would assume it's like eBay, where you can't actually send contact details
it's
out.
Exactly the same thing.
And you've got to get that client off of that platform as soon as you possibly can.
Yeah,
but you can't, because you can't give them your phone number or email.
Yeah,
so then you're stuck.
If you've got a business, I don't know, selling antiques, and it exists entirely on Facebook Marketplace, and Facebook decide that they're not going to operate Marketplace anymore, you've lost all of your business overnight. And yes, those people are still there, but they've got to, and there will be another platform. But then those people have got to find you on the other platform. So effectively, you're starting again from zero. So it's much and there's. I know a few people have made videos about how you should never work for free. I still work for free occasionally.
You wash my car for nothing.
Sam still works for free occasionally. Sometimes something comes along and you think, okay, this is amazing. They've got no budget, but they've got.
But they might have a budget in a year's time.
Yeah, you hear
something with potential.
You hear some incredible potential, and you think, I want to do this because, and that's the danger of working in a creative industry. We're not really working a lot of the time; we're enjoying ourselves, and that can be another sort of mindset factor that keeps the price low as well. But sometimes I just hear something that this is great. This we need to support this person and just do the thing.
But what you do in that situation, if let's say use the example of a young artist with bags of potential, huge talent, you still signal your worth. You go through that process. You don't present yourself as the person that does things for free because you've got a heart of gold or anything like that. You still have to signal the fact that this is what my time is worth in whichever way. That's where you use your emotional intelligence with the person, because you have to figure out what they're going to respond to, what they're not going to respond to, because it's a people industry. You're working with people. It's definitely worth working with people for free if there is a way for you to benefit from it,
build upon
for them to benefit from it as well. You shouldn't just do it because you think you're going to benefit from it. You've got to also lift them up and elevate them as well. Because by doing that, they will attract money to your business as well. And it does work.
Yeah. So really, again, the answer to that question is, and this is for Paris, if you're watching. First thing to note is that your branding and your website just look fantastic. You've nailed that. So it's just really about niching down. and you can scale later on by diversifying when you're collaborating with other experts in your field. So again, going back to if someone approaches me and wants to make a funk record, I'm going to hire Snowboy, I'm going to book Big Noise. I'm not going to do it.
Right.
Snowboy's going to produce it because he's the producer. Simon is going to engineer it because he's the engineer. And then, I'll do my job might be play Hammond on it, in which case I'm just going to do that, but then I'm not going to mix it and master it. But if the label want an outcome, they want an A side and a B side to go on a 45 for release in Japan, that's what they want. But I'm not going to try and do every process. I'm going to hire the specialists around that, and again, that's how you get into that 10% thing.
And just to answer Reese's question, I will be chopping up a courgette midway through this live stream.
Fantastic. Would you like to borrow my mandolin?
No.
Or is it mandarin?
No.
All right.
Lovely. Right, moving onwards.
Number 10.
It's really confusing. Don't let Mark operate a printer. Right.
Don't let Mark operate any technology.
Any ones and zeros.
Do you know, it's so funny. There's been countless times where you haven't been here and everything's worked perfectly well in that room. And as soon as you walk in, something to do with, I don't know if you're emitting electromagnetic frequencies from your brain, everything stops working.
Yeah, I'm like a nuclear blast that's done the,
you are.
the electromagnetic pulse.
Rightio. So the next one is a house EDM mixer wanting to switch genres. This mixing engineer is also a mum owner. Good choice.
Yeah. Good choice.
My sticking point right now is exactly the client acquisition, which is why your offer connected with me so much. I've been working on contacts and social media badly, but I'm fairly directionless right now and not sure which way to press forward. I have a few contacts with professional musicians and engineers, but I'm finding they are pretty much all closed shops or have their network sorted, i.e. not needing someone new poking around their business. There's also a bit of a conflict in terms of my niche down product. I'd love to be able to focus on indie, pop, rock mixing and focusing, but my main body of client paid work is house and EDM. It's one client, but we've done 7 albums to date, so I'm really starting from scratch with pushing the indie rock thing.
So the first red flag is one client. So you've got one house/EDM client that you've done 7 albums for. That's great, but if any more than 10 to 15% of your income comes from one client, you're in an incredibly dangerous position if you lose that client. And I can tell you that because I've been there and I've lost the client and then gone, 90% of my income has been wiped out. So that's a lesson I learned a long time ago. And this goes for platforms like Fiverr, and if those platforms disappear, you've lost all your work. Again, it's really about niching down and having. And if you don't want to be working in-house and EDM anymore, you need to sort of look at why you don't want to be working in-house and EDM anymore. It might just be that you don't like the genre, in which case working then becomes a chore, and we don't want that. If you want to do the indie rock pop thing, then you need to start attracting some indie rock pop clients, and you do that again by niching down into that genre.
But how would they start to do that if they've not got a previous body of work from that genre?
You need to attract some. So again, you might have to do a bit of work for free or for less money in order for people to be able to know, like, and trust you. And so you basically need to start putting some stuff out on social media that encourage those people. And so define your ideal customer avatar first, which will be probably indie rock and rock bands, or indie rock and pop bands. There's lots of those about. So if you can laser focus in on that a little bit more. For example, I'm sorry, going back to the funk thing, but I'm just talking about a genre I'm familiar with. There's lots of different areas of funk, and I'm I know what I'm talking about when it comes to the kind of retro crunchy funk rather than the more modern polished. There's not going to be a digital keyboard in a project that I do. It's going to be an old electromechanical keyboard instrument of some description. I'm never going to use a software instrument or anything like that. So, and it's the same with the indie rock pop thing. There's different sort of subgenres within the genre. So it could be, well, is it indie rock or is it indie pop? Or is it in the middle? If there's indie rock, there's indie pop, there's indie rock pop. So you can position yourself in indie rock pop, not in indie rock or indie pop.
I feel I'm going to have a meltdown.
if that makes sense. It's like saying I'm a vocal producer.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're a vocal producer. What if a rapper walks through the door? What if an opera singer walks through the door?
They've both got voices.
They're both using their vocals, but they're very different skill sets.
Sure.
So I think...
Yeah, I saw someone on... obviously, I'm diving into this quite a lot at the moment, trying to help people. And I saw one person who they said they're a top-line vocal person, but they made it explicitly clear that they worked on house and EDM.
Right.
You know, so straight away it was very clear who they were trying to market themselves to. And I think just to add to that, I think I alluded to this on the last live stream, although I can't remember. I might have dreamt it. But you know, we're going to add a little module to the course already, aren't we? So just a little sneak peek of that one idea that really does work, especially if you're in that position where you're trying to find a new audience, is pick an artist, all right? Someone that's huge. You've got stem extraction now, things like that. Show in less than a minute how you would produce that song by showing, not telling.
Yeah.
And so you start with how it sounds, then you break it down and show how you would go through it, instead of making the typical content that everyone makes, which is, plugin lists or, generic kind of stuff. Actually really dive down into that niche. You've got a plethora of stuff that you can use there. You've got 60, 70 years worth of songs that you can turn into this very specific niche quite easily. Just sitting there showing people what you can do. I would use that as an idea instead of, especially if you're in a position where you can't work for free, but you have got some time that you can do the social media stuff and you can work on something that still inspires you and you're interested in. Because that's always really difficult, isn't it? If you want to transition from one genre to another, you've got your niche somewhere. You've also got to worry about paying your bills. Maybe you've got a family, that kind of thing. It's like, how can you do that easily, but also keep your passion alive for that thing? So I'd suggest looking at something like that.
Yeah, definitely. So don't fire the EDM client yet, because they can sort of fund your transition. But yeah, you need to build a portfolio. You need to build a portfolio in the. It sounds like a rubbish car, doesn't it? I've just bought a Fiat portfolio. That's great. It comes with horses. Completely lost my train of thought now. But yeah, you need to build a bit of a portfolio in that genre.
And with regard to pricing yourself, so there's an interesting comment here from Benj who said, Fiverr isn't always cheap. I've paid an illustrator 250 quid on Fiverr to draw me something. There are some people spending fair amounts on individual jobs on there. It depends on the person. There are £500 a mix engineers on Fiverr as well. I guess 250 is still quite cheap as far as illustrators go if comparing them to the top guys. Now, I think it's important to change your perspective of what cheap and expensive is when trying to price your business or find the clients you want to go for. So for us, for example, if someone was to say to me, I'll give you 200 quid to come and film a video, I wouldn't even open the email. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need to find the clients that want to offer the pricing you're after and be able to provide a service that's worth that much, and ensure that you can keep building on that and improving your pricing and growing and growing and growing. But yeah, you basically need to find the clients who want to pay what you're willing to earn. Essentially, it sounds mad, but you need to grow it that way.
Yeah,
once you've found the clients to kickstart things. It won't work if you're writing at the beginning.
Yeah, and importantly as well, you need those clients to be able to find you. And that was the problem with a couple of the people last week, is that they're operating in the middle of nowhere in a fantastic facility, don't want to do social media, don't want to have any kind of online presence. It's like, well, then what are you actually going to do? Because...
Yeah, how are you going to find people?
yeah, you can't do that. And that's a mindset thing, and that's a thing that can be very difficult to overcome. But you just have to do something. So and again, that's why a lot of people that work in the creative industries are terrible at business
because they want to be creative.
Yeah, and that's why managers exist and agents exist and stuff like that, because the managers and the agents do the business side for you, and you can concentrate on the creative side when you get up to the sort of next
Getting
level.
yourself found is difficult. When we had that person who had their business in the middle of nowhere, but also did no social media and no basically outreach whatsoever, that made me think of that saying. It's like, if a leaf falls in a forest and no one's there to see it, does it even exist?
Yeah, exactly. Did it happen?
It's the same with your studio. If you've built this studio but no one knows about it, is it even real? Does it exist?
Yeah, if you've mixed the best whatever track in the history of the world and no one hears it, then
did you really?
You can can you pay yourself for this for this work? Because that's probably not very tax efficient, but it's the only way you're going to do it.
James Socrates Nugent.
Exactly.
I'm an inspiration.
There's nothing wrong with these socks.
Yes. It's socky cheese.
Socky cheese.
On to the next question.
So again, just to summarise with that, so build a portfolio in pop rock or indie rock, or pop/indie rock, but not all three. Do Sam's suggestions for social media to get some stuff going out online. You can do some, if you've still got the house EDM client, you can don't fire those as a source of income.
Use them to fund the transition.
And then you can and go through the steps in the course. Because so you're going to need to find some clients before clients start to find you, because you'll need that portfolio in order to attract clients that find you.
Sure.
Just to add to that as well, there can sometimes be a psychological need to, say for example, in this specific situation, you want to head into indie rock, but you're doing EDM, to go, well, I can do this as well and this on your social media or whatever. I'm not too aware of this person's social media presence, but let's say for example, is it worth considering perhaps making that a new thing, a different, avenue, to starting something afresh, at least on social media to start with, so people are aware of your niche. There are ways that you can build that up quite quickly if you have a targeted approach to doing something like that, and you will actually find that you get clients very quickly. It's just about actually stepping out of that comfort zone and going, I'm going to do this. And having a framework and a structure, which the blueprint obviously provides. That would be something I would consider, because it is so tempting to put on your social media, oh yeah, I also do this. Oh, well, I've done this, and I've done this, and I've done this. It's like, look at it as a business. It's not about you. It's not about your face. It's about, how am I going to make some money doing what I enjoy?
Yeah, it's about solving the problem, and if you can be very specific about that problem that you solve, then
and make yourself a professional in that one niche. And also that brings us back again to last week. There was one of our customers who said that they were doing the recording. He was doing the recording and production, and his wife was doing artwork. Well, that's great. You've got two specialists doing different things. They might be working with the same clients. She'll do the album artwork, he'll do the recording, but they're doing their own thing, their own specialization.
Now, that was an interesting case, though. Sorry to go back to a previous question, but from what I remember, both of those arms of the business had the same name.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, my question to you guys, being the niche experts, would be, is that a good or a bad thing, having the art side having the same name as the studio music business, or is it better for them to actually have different names? Is it better for them to be linked in people's minds, or is it better for the link to happen?
I think it depends how they market it.
If it's two specialist things, which it is, then yes, it is.
Yes, it is. What, two different names?
To associate that as... I'm trying to think of a larger commercial example, but I can't off the top of my head. But
Apple?
Yeah, Apple you go to for phones, you go to for laptops, you go to for iPads, you go to for a music streaming service. You go. I mean, with Apple it's slightly different because it is all under one brand in kind of one house. But these are two very different services branded under the same name, but with individual buildings, individual websites, individual people running them. So you've got Specialist A, Specialist B, and that's why Abbey Road have a dedicated mastering suite with 5 or 6 engineers working out of it, and that's why Metropolis have the dedicated production space, the dedicated studio space, the dedicated mastering suite with vinyl cutting.
Yeah.
So if you want to make a record, you can go to Abbey Road or Metropolis and have everything done, but the guy who mics up the drum kit isn't mastering your record. It's a very different service,
At
and
least
it's
not that you know of. He might be mastering
he
the
might
record.
be,
but
yeah,
the crucial point is you don't know that.
Yeah, it's positioned in their marketing that they're very separate, and they are, and that's so. Yeah, you can share the same branding, and that's a good idea because then you can get crossover between clients. But it's not marketed as a jack of all trades, master of none. It's not marketed as, oh, we also do this, we also do that, we also do this, we also do that. They're two very specialist services.
Yep. Lovely. On to the next question. Just before I go on to the next question, Cheapo Car Company in the comments is making fun of me for absolutely butchering that leaf falls in a forest thing. I don't know what it was, but you know what I meant.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The analogy,
If a leaf falls in a forest, you probably won't hear it.
No one's going to hear that.
But the analogy works.
You know what I meant. If flop even flops, if you're not in the room, is he even flopping?
The actual thing you were referring to is if a fox poos in the forest and no one steps in it, has it actually done a poo?
Yeah, there we go.
And the answer is yes.
Yes, because you can smell it.
Yeah.
Right. Right, next question. Question 11, I think.
Yes.
Right, it's really confusing, isn't it, for my small brain? I'm currently at the process
Well,
of trying...
It comes after 10 and before 12.
Sometimes. I'm currently at the process of trying to switch from live sound to record mixing. Record mixing. I bloody hate English. Too many stupid words that all look the same.
Oh my God.
Right, I'm currently in the process of trying to switch from live sound to record mixing. I grew up in a musical family. My dad teaches sax, my mum teaches grand piano. I play grand piano too, even graduated from 12 years of classical music school, yet I always wanted to be on the other side of the mixing board, especially mixing records. So at 15, I got my first DAW and started playing with it, recording family and friends, something at school events.
Sorry, me and Sam are thinking exactly
English
the same
language.
thing there. Yeah, what you do, you putting the hinges on or adjusting the handle?
Yes, his first doorknob.
Yep.
After graduation, I got my first audio-related job in a local sound company. I didn't stay there long, but I learned a lot. Then I got a part-time job at a local radio station as a live mixing engineer. Very boring. So I freelance gigs with sound companies and was doing a proper live sound again. Fast forward a few years of this patchwork, I got a full-time job at a small local venue as a sound engineer. It's much more stable than the previous job, but money could be better. Why the hell am I even writing all that? Well, after a dozen years or so, I got sick of doing almost what I wanted, so I decided I finally have to try to become a record mixing engineer. And then I saw you release this course. What a coincidence. And there's a thing about me. I'm a perfectionist, and I always thought that results of my work are not enough to cut through the market. That's changed the past year, but I'm thinking that I'm not good enough. But that changed the last year, but thinking I'm not good enough is a reason why I've never promoted myself anywhere. I feel like a total business idiot. I've never posted anything on social media, and I mean literally nothing ever, even private stuff. So my number one question is, where do I start and where do I get clients? I mean, my first approach to that is if you think you're an idiot, then you're going to be holding yourself back. So cast that thought away immediately.
And also, perfection is the enemy of progress.
Yes,
exactly. And there's a very good quote here. I can't remember who it's from, but so I'd say tackle the perfectionism block first. But in business, perfectionism is procrastination in a suit.
How very posh.
And I can't remember who said that, but it's basically true. 90% perfect is done. If you so you need to kind of get over that that thing. You got a lot of experience.
Well, that's the thing. So they've got lots of experience, but think they're not good enough. Well, one of those isn't true.
Yeah, and it might be because you've got a lot of experience in a lot of different things, and you might think that you're a bit of a jack of all trades and a master of none. So it's again, it's about, so the course should really help with this. So the first thing to do is to decide what you actually want to do. And if it's, you know, if you said, so I decided I finally have to try and become a record mixing engineer. So great, become a record mixing engineer, pick a genre, your favourite one, because you're going to be doing a lot of it. Go through the steps in the course. You've proven that you're good enough to earn an income from your mixing skills because you've been doing live sounds, you've been working in broadcast. So now really all you need to do is go through the course, define your ideal customer avatar, use the tools there to find them, and then work on your social media to enable them to find you. And if you've never done social media before, that's great, and you might not be very good when you first start, and that's great. Nobody was, but you haven't got a sort of distracting backlog of stuff. If you like Sam was saying with the last question, it might be worth starting again on some of those social media channels, so as you can sort of niche down and not be distracted by the other stuff you've done.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
If it doesn't damage your train of thought. What if somebody was to position themselves instead of around genres, around, let's say, for example, only working with real musicians, or only is that a viable? Is genre quite a important part of this for you, or do you think that there's different ways that you can?
I think there are many ways you can niche a business.
Yeah, and that's one way to do it. And that's kind of School Farm's niche. And Audio Network's niche. They only work with real musicians in the room. You will never, they output goodness knows how many pieces of music every day.
That's very much like the analogy we used last week. If you've got a photographer, well, actually, no, I think this is in the course, but you got a photographer who does dog photos and does wedding photos and does family portraits, pick one because you want to be really good at that. But that is a perfectly suitable niche.
Have a family portraits website, have a dog photos website, have a...
Yeah, but you don't have to just pick a genre as a niche. You can pick,
I
only work with saxophones that are recorded using, I don't know, a random mic or something. You can find these niches, and they don't have to be just in the small group of genres. It could be anything.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at someone like Morten Lindberg, who only does immersive recording. Now, he'll do an immersive recording of a string quartet or a 100 oboe players, or a gorilla, or but he's going to turn up with his Atmos mic array and record your thing in the most natural and humanistic way possible.
I ask this because there's a trend emerging of a lot of people saying they want to work in a lot of different genres, basically, and probably because they love a lot of those different genres. It's probably quite difficult to actually go, I'm going to stick to just this. So it's just trying to think of ways.
I can see the appeal of having variety to keep it interesting. Again, I can definitely see the appeal to that. Yeah,
again, it's how you market it. So Morten Lindberg has become a key person of influence in immersive recording. So genre is largely relevant. If you want the most naturalistic immersive recording of your whatever, he's the expert in that, and he doesn't care whether you're a string quartet or whether you're an accordion player or whether you're a rock band. But what he's not going to do is he's not going to traditionally mic up the drums. There's not going to be a kick mic and a snare mic and toms and under toms, and he's not going to be slamming everything through 1176s and stuff like that. That's not what he does. He does a very naturalistic immersive recording with no compression, no EQ. If he's recording something and one particular musician is too loud, he will move the musician further back or get them to turn down, so it's all about that immersive natural recording, and he does work in a lot of different genres, but for most of us, we're not doing that. Most of us are producing or tracking or mixing or mastering in kind of traditional genres, largely in stereo. And so the reason why you need to niche down on a genre is because there are so many other people doing that. If you look for specialist immersive recording engineers, you could probably count them on the fingers of one hand. So Morten's in a very niche.
He's in a blue ocean.
He's in a very blue ocean. Yeah. And he's got and again he can do the mixing because he's done the record. So this is one example where I would go to Morten and I would have him record my record, mix my record, master my record. I would get him to do the whole process because it's a very specialist niche thing.
That's the thing.
And he's an expert. He's probably the expert in every single step of that process. It's immersive recording, nothing else. Want to overdub a nose flute? No, you get the nose flute in the room with the rest of the musicians, or I'm not interested. Second you start overdubbing stuff, he's not going to mix it anymore. So I probably overcomplicated that, but yeah, it doesn't have to be tied into genre, but because most of us are working traditionally, then that's one of the easiest ways to
it's
niche
like
down.
I said a second ago, your niche doesn't have to be a genre. It could be a method, like what you've just explained. It could be it could be a workflow.
Yeah.
There are so many different ways of niching down. You don't have to stick to a genre. Just find something that you can make your specialization and make yourself really good at it. That's the answer. So try and get over the perfectionism block. Because that will hold you back. And don't think you're not good enough because you're wrong.
And there are ways, if you've got a live sound and a broadcast sound background, live engineers mix fast because they have to. They can't ask the audience to come back in an hour and a half when they've tuned the vocal.
Can you give me 3 days to mix the band, please?
Yeah, so live engineers with amplified instruments, they mix fast and they mix for energy and vibe. And that could be your niche. So I bring the energy of a live show to your record. You bring that energy and impact, and so as when someone's listening to a record, it feels like the first time it's ever been played. And there's a lot of albums I listen to that feel like that. Now, I might have listened to them 100 times, but on first listen, there's just this, technically there's faults and it's not perfect, but there's an incredible energy to the performance that just makes me feel like it's happening then and there, in the room. So you could that could be a very compelling hook for rock bands who sound flat when they're recorded and want the energy of their live show put into the record. So that could be a niche where you're not so much niching down on genre, but you're niching down on your experience as a live engineer, and you're just bringing that live energy to people's music. Yep,
that sounds good. Right, onwards and upwards.
Onward
Bound,
or onwards and sideways. What we've been an hour. That's all right.
Hour and 5.
Going to need a wee in a minute, but we all know that was coming.
Well, you should go when James is reading.
Which is now. Read the question, boy.
I should have given you a little bit more warning there, shouldn't I, James?
See, me and Sam were having a discussion before the live stream about the fact that Mark never wears headphones and then has no idea that when he moves away from the mic, this happens. And it sounds horrible. So
I can hear it now. So
yeah, Sam can now hear it because he's upgraded. Okay, so this is a podcast post-production, struggling to find new clients. I resonated strongly with the business is declining, let's do all the things bit that you shared in your latest video. I do post-production for podcasts and have had, at one time, quite a number of shows, but several of them stopped production within months of each other, and I didn't have the business development bit built out, which led to further diffusion of focus. As I look to begin rebuilding after some time to reset, I'm trying to wrap my head around those second-tier 9% producers and who they might be and how to begin finding them and building relationships. Okay, so podcast business, had a load of clients, but many of them died out essentially, and trying to find higher-tier clients.
Interesting. There's an interesting stat about podcasts. It's something like 94% stop or give up.
It's the thing is, it's one of those things.
So that's not a reflection on him. That's a reflection on the industry.
That's the thing. It's a competitive industry because you've got lots of people, especially on the lower end of the market, doing it on a low budget, who want to start them, but either then run out of money or just run out of effort trying to keep them going. But it's a excuse me, it's a humongous market. So just in the facts and notes here we've got, it's expected to grow to over $100 billion by 2030. So it's a humongous market. So there is money in the market. Again, you've just got to find it. So Mark, just before you disappeared, now I need to reread the question.
That was a really short question, wasn't it?
Hang on, I've got you muted. There we go.
Sorry, yeah, you don't need to reread the question. That was a really short one, that wasn't it?
Yes.
Good job I didn't go for a poo.
But that's think about podcasts. That how many there's a lot of podcasts out there, but how many do you actually listen to?
0.
Okay, you're the wrong person to ask that question to. Mark, how many podcasts do you actually listen to?
Every week without fail, 5.
It's 5.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's 5 out of a sea of...
And then others I pick and I have like an episode buffet and I think, I don't like that person. I won't.
Well, that's the thing as well. Sometimes you'll find a podcast where you like one episode, but then you listen to another one and it just doesn't feel right anymore.
Yeah. And I think that's again, that's kind of to do with niching down, but in some cases it's also kind of to do with numbers. There are some if you take Diary of a CEO, which is arguably one of the biggest podcasts in the world now in terms of numbers, I probably listened to 5% of those episodes.
Right.
And it really annoys me when at the beginning of the episode, Stephen Bartlett's going, figures show that 65% of you haven't subscribed to the channel, so it helps more than you ever know. Do us a favour. I don't want to subscribe to the channel because the algorithm is good enough that if I see Daniel Priestley or Rory Sutherland on one of your episodes, it's going to promote it to me. But if I see someone talking about horoscopes, it isn't.
Then it'll be right down your street.
So shut up. I'm not subscribing to your channel. Just get on with it and let the algorithm do its thing. Whereas there are some like Ed and Paul's, the Audio Working Tools podcast, where I just release. I will subscribe because I just listen religiously on a Saturday morning every week, and that becomes ingrained in your weekly schedule. And I don't care what they're talking about because I like them, and they've built the know, like, and trust. And I don't care whether they've got guests or whether they haven't got guests. It's just what I do at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning.
I'm just thinking about that because the reason I asked that question is there's a large failure rate with podcasts. So the niche could be position yourself as the person records or maybe even produces them, the ones that are successful. So you make a big point about the fact this is an industry with a high percentage failure rate, but guess what?
Because
the thing that I've noticed is, again, researched this a bit recently, all the successful podcasts have a producer who is actually like monitoring exactly what's happening, allowing the there's a team allowing the presenter to be themselves and not have to sit there and worry about keeping an order in their mind and everything else. That's the job of a producer. So just a suggestion, but maybe you can sort of make that part of your pitch.
Well, that was going to be my key suggestion, and again, it's about selling an outcome.
Sorry.
That's absolutely fine because I might have forgotten that. But it's about selling an outcome. So you have to think, what does a business who approaches you, who wants to launch a podcast, want? And because you're an audio engineer, you'll automatically think they want to know how to do all the audio. So they want to know what mics to use and how to mix it and how to do. No, they don't want that at all. What they want is to launch a podcast that has people listening to it. And they don't give a shit what microphones you use or what you record it into or what you do in post-production to process it. I mean, obviously it'll have to be an SM7B because how the hell did that happen? But they don't care about that. They care about an outcome, and the outcome is that if it's a business wanting to launch a podcast, it's that podcast is reaching people that are interested in their business. So so your role then should be more of a producer, as Sam said, than an engineer, and making sure that the episodes are well recorded and well filmed or whatever, but making sure that the episodes actually attract the ideal customer of the people that are hosting the podcast.
I think because the industry that we're in, as well as being creative, is very technical, it's easy to get lost in those details. And when someone says, I want to record a podcast, you think, right, I want to put their voice into a mic, record it, done. So what they want to do is grow their business and sell something and, build up their own brand that they're trying to sell, and you need to think of it from that wider picture.
So I'm just wondering, with this particular thing, is obviously we're talking about social media and stuff like that, but actually outreach with this would be essential, because if it's a massively growing market, presenting yourself to people and saying, oh, so I see you're, or maybe even seeking out people that are trying to do a podcast at the moment. You think, oh, there's great potential there, but something just a bit missing, and being like, I can be the guy that can, or girl, that can help you,
Yeah, so market yourself as an enabler, and as an expert in that space, and not just with the technicalities of it, but with the marketing and promotion of it as well. And there are things that you can do that you can. So my basic. This could be a terrible business, or it could be an amazing business. And the difference between whether it's a terrible business or whether it's an amazing business fall down to: terrible business, you record people's podcasts. Amazing business, you record people's podcasts, but that's very much the subtext. What you do is you enable people's podcasts, you share the information and the knowledge to enable those clients to grow their podcast. And there's very, very easy ways to do that by looking at people that have grown podcasts, and anyone that's the slightest bit interested in marketing will have seen Rory Sutherland on a podcast at some point, and it's a guest that he's a guest that I very much so. Out of interest, we're launching a podcast this year, and he's very much on my A-list of people I want on that thing. Now, he's launched his own podcast called Bottleneck with a couple of other people, and at the moment it's got about 300 subscribers, and that podcast is getting, on YouTube at least, it's getting 200 or 300 views a week, which is rubbish. But because Rory Sutherland has been going out on podcasts such as Diary of a CEO and getting 3.6 million views, a percentage of that audience over time, as it percolates through the algorithm, are going to be attracted to his podcast. And that's how you do it. So say, for example, you... and you've got an unlimited pool of customers as well, because if you've got people coming into your studio to do it, that can be great. But what can be even better is if you go out into businesses and actually get a mobile set up and record the podcast in a business. So if you're your pool of clients is huge. So wherever you are, there's going to be near to you. There's going to be, there's probably going to be a brewery. There's going to be retailers. There's going to be manufacturers. There's going to be bakers, butchers, bakers, candlestick makers. If a brewery's probably got a really cool brick building, and they've probably got huge brewery things, and the same if with distillers, they've got, aesthetically it can be a fantastic place to film something as well. So that's how you brand their podcasts for them, based very much around their existing brand, and establish those businesses, establish them as key authorities in their niche, which could be brewing in this example, but then get them as guests on other brewers' podcasts that have a larger audience. That will then help to grow their audience, and you can and it's it's a win. It's a success. You can flag up for the client. So look, I've just got you on the world's top brewing podcast, and that's got 500,000 views in the first month. A percentage of there are now 500,000 people that are aware of your brewing business that weren't a month ago. So let's keep our podcast growing, and that will kind of grow and expand over time. I think being a facilitator of it is the key here.
I think with podcasts as well, you need to have an understanding of how, when, and why people are listening to podcasts. It's no coincidence that every comedian under the sun now has a podcast. People, it's almost like a lot of it is about filling time. It's like, I've got to do the housework, wash the dishes, I'm going to put a podcast on, and I'm going to put a comedian on, because this is a really boring task. Or maybe you're the sort of person that likes to learn things, so you're going to put a podcast on where you learn things. People are doing these things when they're driving to places. Some people then there are certain podcasts where it's almost like a communal experience. Like, oh, should we listen to this together while we're driving because it's really funny?
Yeah.
You know, so it's about finding the niche is not just in the, you know, the genre or the space, the industry that you're working in, whether it's a brewery. It's also about what kind of content am I trying to put out? Am I just trying to add a little bit of joy to someone's day because it's mundane? Or do they want to feel like they're connected to someone because they feel a bit lonely? There's all these kinds of different things that you can brainstorm to figure out for that company or person you're working with. Working with. How are you going to help them? You know, it's actually quite a big mental exercise.
But it's also
podcasts.
One thing that's important, which we haven't covered, is this person is looking to move from podcasts that are failing and shutting down to the second tier 9% people that have a bit more money. How they're marketing themselves with positioning and differentiation, which is really important in business, they might be missing that. You might be missing that at the moment. So if you're trying to sell your services as I do podcast post-production, great, so do 9 million other people. If you find something specific that you can do or find a different way of wording it, so something like I produce podcasts for businesses that help improve their reach and online presence, bringing in new clients, higher profits, better online presence, all that kind of stuff. If you can find a way to position yourself as more of an expert that offers more than just I do post-production, which sounds a bit boring, make yourself sound worth more because you're offering more, and that helps clients to find you. So you're not just finding clients. People are Googling online, how do I produce a podcast? How do I do this?
Yeah.
And if someone comes onto your websites and see that, oh, this person does online reach as well, and this person does this, it's still niche. You're still doing podcast post-production, but you're positioning yourself as more of an expert, that you don't just edit the podcast so it sounds good, you edit it in a way that people will enjoy listening to it. People will share it because it's so enticing with the way you've produced it.
It's a cottage industry as well, the podcast industry. If you look at, like, the rest is then ad thing, history, politics, football, whatever. You know, it's the same with all the comedians that are doing podcasts. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them have the same producer. They're under the same umbrella, and they're just sort of going between.
You can kind of tell from the editing that a lot of them are under the same.
That's just something to bear in mind.
And that's someone who's very good at business, who knows about podcasts, who's thought, right, okay, I really love comedy. None of these comedians are putting out, you know, either podcasts or YouTube shorts or whatever this can be recycled into. There's a market for me going and approaching those comedians and going, right, let me record your show. And it's, again, the comedian doesn't care about what mic you're using or what sample rate you're recording at. They care about how many people are gonna be listening and watching that content. And that's how you position yourself to your ideal customer. So your ideal customer is a CEO of a successful company, and the way that you position yourself to them isn't as a technical podcast facilitator. It's as a podcast expert that can immediately tell them, right, 90% of podcasts fail.
And here's why.
In the first 6 episodes, and here's why.
Yeah.
And then say what you do to stop that happening.
And that gives you a sense of authority in their eyes as well. This person knows what they're talking about, therefore I should trust them with my money.
Yeah, and it removes the risk, because they're rather than them paying someone a low dollar rate to come into their business with some microphones and a whatever, that's a risk to them. If they're hiring you and you have experience of this and you know how to grow an audience, that removes the risk for them. And you know, you need to sit down with them and find out. So then you're then helping them find out who their ideal customer is, so you can go through all of the social media stuff in the course about how to position yourself as an expert in your niche. You can educate them in that, So it kind of, does that make sense? So it kind of filters through. So you're not just, the worst thing you can do is just go, I record podcasts. Look, I've got some mics and some cables and look how good my stands are.
Yeah.
That's not going to work because then you're in a red ocean.
Yeah.
To get yourself in a blue ocean, you need to be able to show people how to market their podcast, how to get the listeners, why they shouldn't give up, why they only might get 300 subscribers after 6 months.
To simplify that, it's like when you're trying to find new clients, make it damn obvious why they should pick you.
Yeah.
Not just I record podcasts. Why do you record podcasts? What do you offer? Why are you better than Joe Blogs?
Yeah, and again, don't be tempted to build a studio either, because a lot of people think, oh, that's if I build a really nice looking studio, then people will flock in. They won't.
Well, this is a really good example of that. You could lift this up and go and record a live stream anywhere, couldn't you?
Yeah.
I'm talking about a table
exactly.
for viewers that think I've just lost my mind.
He's pointing at a tripod.
James has basically built something here that could be lifted up and taken anywhere.
Mark built it because I'm not trusted with a saw.
Look, you probably put that. No, you probably didn't.
I push the buttons and plug things in.
This live stream looks like our live stream just because we've done every live stream episode here. But Brian Johnson from the banana packaging factory down the road doesn't want to come, no matter how nice the studio looks, he doesn't want to come here and do his banana packaging.
I thought Brian Johnson was into biohacking.
Oh, he's a great guy.
Moved into bananas all of a sudden.
That's a different one.
Okay.
He wants something related to bananas, so it would be of benefit to film that there.
With a monkey.
With him. Yeah, and if you do build a studio, at the very least have a big screen behind it so you can put companies' individual logos on and stuff like that. But
that's the thing. If you're doing video podcast,
and you should
that's
be,
more
and
important.
You absolutely should be. I don't think anyone should be doing an audio-only podcast.
And that's another point for this customer that sent the email in. That's another selling point.
Yeah.
I don't just do podcasts, but
Because
I will film them.
I am not subscribed to any podcast platform.
Yeah.
I listen to all my podcasts on YouTube, and if they're not on YouTube, I don't listen to them. And I've got YouTube Premium, so I can do it with my screen locked. And every podcast I listen to, so that's a bit ironic, isn't it? I listen to the podcast on a video streaming platform, but don't watch the video.
But you like the option to
to have it there, and every podcast I listen to is always in the car.
Yeah. So one thing that could be an argument against that is like, well, if you're filming the podcast as well, then you're not niching down. Well, no, you're filming specifically podcasts. You're not going and filming puppy play sessions.
Yeah, you're
filming purely podcasts.
Yeah, and your niche is not audio and video. Your niche is enabling a successful podcast for your client.
Yes.
Which involves lots of other things.
Yes.
And again, collaborate with experts. If you're no good at video or you don't own any cameras or anything like that, there will be other people that you can bring in. And that's how you attract the 9% or the 10% clients, is by offering that specialised service.
To be honest, if you're not the best at filming video, but you're doing the podcast thing, that could actually be a benefit, because you're going to have to network with a video producer to find that person to do that. That video producer may have customers and businesses that might want a podcast. So you're immediately branching your network out straight away, just by partnering up with someone to offer this extra service.
Another reason why I do everything doesn't work. Offer everything as a business, but have specialists in their lanes doing those things.
Lovely.
Hope that covers that. But we should probably talk a little bit about markets as well. So it's important to, when you're positioning yourself in business, it's important to find a market that is either growing or at least consistent and staying the same.
Sure.
There are markets that are shrinking, and you shouldn't have a shrinking market as your ideal customer avatar, or someone in a shrinking market as your ideal customer avatar, because that market's shrinking. The podcast, podcasts aren't going anywhere, so it's going to at least stay the same, but it is expected to grow to $100 billion by 2030. So it's a massively growing market. So
that's at least £10.
You can absolutely make business work in that space, but again, you got to get away from the technical.
Yep.
And you got to think of how you got to sell an outcome to the client. What does the client want? Listeners.
Sure.
Simple as that. That's the only thing they want.
Do you mind if I just
go for it?
Read out a comment here.
Yeah.
So is it Genghis?
Oh, you beat me to it. I was going to read that one.
One thing I need to outsource is drum recording, for example.
Yeah.
Good luck finding someone with a room and a proper kit set up to record blast beats.
We'll read 2 messages up from that one.
Will you do it in an
So
accent?
it's a blessing. No, I'm not doing an accent. It's a blessing and a curse both to be in Kuwait in the Middle East. Niching down into the extreme metal thing sets me apart from the rest, but finding people to collaborate with is going to be hard because of where he is.
There's the internet.
So what I've just done is I've just gone onto Instagram and typed in blast beats
Right.
in the Discover, and there are so many people in playing blast beats in treated drum rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Just to do that within 10 seconds, just to show, and then the next step is obviously to reach out to these people if you like what they're doing. Some of them might be knobbers, some of them might be wonderful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there are what is now a niche in any genre. There's nearly 9 billion people in the world. There's going to be a lot of people doing it. You know, you can find your little market. I just wanted to do that as an experiment, really, based on that.
But we have the internet, so it doesn't matter if you're in Kuwait or you're in the middle of a jungle in Tanzania. If they have jungles, I have no idea. But, you know, we have the internet, and they probably have internet in Tanzania. So you can find clients.
A lot
online.
of it's mindset as well. There's this is something we need to right, okay, here's the next lesson for us. We need to reposition our client acquisition course to appeal to the 9% and the 1%, not the 90%.
Right.
Because the 90% doesn't work.
No.
And the way we do that is we make it very clear before people sign up that you are going to have to put in a lot of work.
Yeah, it's not
to
a
make
free
this
ticket.
happen. There isn't a tap where you pay so much money and we turn on the tap and you get a magical magical flow of perfect clients into your business. You're going to have to do some work. And Sam's just done some there and already has found that the person you need to find to enable something in your business, it's actually really, you know, put half an hour into it. And you've found that person and you've.
But it's working. I know it's a cliche, but it's working smarter rather than working longer as well.
Yeah.
And what I would say is, you know, without blowing smoke up your ass, the blueprint that exists enables you to work smarter. There are you know, it's like half an hour a day.
And there are some people that I have refunded because they've emailed me and said, "I thought this was going to be easy." I thought, well, what do you mean you thought
we never said it would be easy?
Well, I thought I thought, you know, you were going to send me a load of clients. And I'm like, well, no, I'm not, because refund. Thank you very much. You know, and there's people that just want to sit on their arse and literally be spoon-fed everything.
So
and the people, there's, you know, the that's not the people in the comments that watch the live streams. And
so the thing is, obviously, in the day and age of social media and all that stuff, where you have all of this information that you can use for targeting ads, which Sam knows all about, much more than Mark and I do. If you've built your customer avatar, which is on the course that we released, showing you how to do that, how to really specify who exactly you're trying to sell to, you can then use social media to find those people. So it doesn't matter if you're in Kuwait. We're in the day and age of online music production. It's dead easy. Anyone can do it. And you can find these customers by knowing exactly who you're trying to sell to. So you want to sell to 30-year-old drummers who do metal blast beats in their home studio, which means they need to connect with a mixing and mastering engineer or whatever it might be. You can find those because you've defined that person in your customer avatar and you know who you're selling to, which then makes it easier to find.
You have to be open to that. When I work with artists and we're looking for their audience, the first thing we do now is we use you know, those kind of ad strategies to find. Sometimes they don't like who their audience is.
Yeah, right.
You know, like when I was first starting out and I was experimenting on my own music, there was a particular song where it was divorced middle-aged women.
Amazing.
I fucking love that. I love that. It's great. I don't have a problem with anyone enjoying but some people have a very fixed idea of who they're
In their mind,
audience,
they have an ideal world.
who they're writing for, but actually,
Yeah.
the
It might be
world
different.
chooses for you. You know,
Yeah.
and it's the
Yeah.
same as, you know, you might not be able to find a blast beat player in Q8, but maybe you can find someone in I don't know, Brazil or something who's really, really passionate about it and strike up a really meaningful relationship, musically, platonically. Although if there's a marriage that comes from PDP,
There we go.
we'll be very
Imagine-
fascinated. But
imagine that.
there's just so many opportunities, you know, and like
Yeah.
the biggest market for one of the songs I worked with was Brazil and Japan. And it was incredible, and the artist was just like, "This is amazing. Maybe I can go to Brazil or Japan." I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
How cool is that?"
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Quite often, I mean, when I had my own funk band, a huge part of our audience was the Japanese vinyl market. Now, so for us to turn around and go, "Oh, well, that's not who we were trying to attract," and stop exporting vinyl to Japan, would what you can't. It's the same with our YouTube channel. 99.9% of our audience are male. Now
literally.
that's not our fault. We haven't got a blocker that blocks females with YouTube subscriptions watching our content. We're not doing anything to repel women. That's just the way it is. There's a lot more people working in.
It's just interests.
Yeah. So you can look at that statistics and go, oh, that's not really what we were hoping for. But actually, it doesn't. It doesn't.
And there's an interesting point we raised last week, which is it's not always about the numbers as well. So if you don't get a lot of views on your social media content or whatever it might be, this also counts for email list stuff. And the reason I bring that up is Trevor Noakes has just put in the comment that he's been busy compiling his email list while listening to the discussion. Now, it's interesting in that it might seem like more of a success if you have, let's say, 3,000 customers in your email address, but if only 5% of them are opening the emails, it's the same as the whole YouTube video thing. If we got 1 million views on a video, but realistically it only brought in about 100 quid in AdSense, it's a completely useless video. It doesn't warrant anything.
And it's healthy to do that. Well, we harshly cleansed our email
exactly
list
what I was about to say.
earlier in the week, and it's now 25% of what it was.
No, it isn't. It's 10%.
Is it?
Yes. So we removed well over 7,000 people from our mailing list over the last few days. Because it was just a waste of time having them on there. They either weren't opening the emails or they weren't interacting with them. So what's the point? We're just paying for credits to send those emails out to people who aren't bringing that money back to the business. And that's how you need to treat it with growing your mailing list, Trevor, or growing your social media ad kind of portfolio with what you're putting out on your ads. You need to fine tune it so you're not wasting your time and effort on customers that don't benefit you, really.
Which again is why you go for the 9% and the 1% of the market. If you need to earn $100,000 a year, you need, and your ideal customer has got $1 to spend, you need 100,000 of them. Or you need 2 clients that have got 50 grand. And you've achieved the same thing. And that's why you aim for the top 10% and not the and again with the views. So entertainment channels like Mr. Beast are aiming their customer avatar is in the 90%.
Sure.
It's the 90% mass market.
Well,
and
with his kind of thing, it's all about the numbers.
They need, because they need the more views they get, the more they earn.
Sure.
The better sponsorships they get, the more they earn in ad revenue. Whereas with people like us, that doesn't matter at all. You can, and as we there's a module in the course where it clearly shows how a video that received about 600 views for us generated 10 grand in 24 hours, and one that got 250,000 views generated virtually nothing.
Yeah.
So it's not. So what's the best content for us to put out to grow our business? It's not the stuff that gets 250,000 views. It's the stuff that gets 600 views, but generates 10 grand in revenue.
But we're being encouraged to chase the numbers.
But
in general, chase the numbers, and it's really interesting. Spotify's great for this when you're trying to help an artist, because you can track it in real time what's happening. And the difference between people that, say for example, get on playlists to chase numbers and get 100,000 streams or something like that, but then you look at the listen count and you're thinking, okay, that's not a very high listener count. Whereas if you've got a stable, you've got, and the point I'm getting to is it's about longevity. You know, it's about having that repeat listener or having that repeat client that comes back again and again and again, rather than trying to chase some kind of popularity. You need a certain sense of, you need to, you know, grow trust. Trust is important, and numbers can help with that, but only to a point. You know. I wonder if I look at a YouTube channel that's got 100,000 subscribers or, you know, 10 million subscribers, I'd actually probably be more inclined to check out the 100,000 subscribers, because the 10 million is just a bit like,
It can feel a bit washed out as well when a channel gets so big, like Mr. Beast and all that kind of stuff. It becomes washed out because you're trying to appeal to so many people. It's losing that niche,
it's
essentially.
not a niche, exactly.
Cool. Right, should we move on to the next one? We got 2 questions left.
2 questions to go.
We are 1 hour 40 minutes into the live stream.
Wow. So what's the average mean time spent per question?
Actually, 20 minutes per question, precisely.
Excellent. So
there we go.
40 minutes will be done.
Plus ramblings.
Plus ramblings.
No, currently, as of 30 seconds time from now, it's precisely 20 minutes per question. Anyway, moving on. Thanks so much for the email. Got an education
What's
in
the
audio.
title of this one?
Talented recording engineer offering a champagne service to beer money clients. Thanks so much for the personal email. I got a great education in audio, but the one thing they didn't teach me was how to operate like a business, so I'm very thankful you've put out this course. I'm a 25-year-old freelance recording and mixing engineer, getting about 1 or 2 client projects a month, if that. I'm still starting out, so my main income comes from being an assistant engineer at a few studios here in New York City. I book my clients at these and other studios, as well as offering remote recording with a good rig and mics. My niche is jazz tracking, particularly historical jazz recording, think Rudy Van Gelder. I'm also skilled at classical recording and acoustic music tracking and Atmos recording/mixing in these genres. The clients I'm getting never have a budget to pay me a proper rate or book me for more than a few hours in a studio for one day. Since I'm fairly new, I'd like to build out my client list with up-and-coming artists that I can grow with, working with maybe 1 client project a week within the next year. The dream is in 5 to 10 years to book 2 to 3 days a week in a studio to make a jazz record every single week and send off mixing and mastering to other skilled engineers. Since I'm doing the business, I'm wondering about credibility and acquiring new clients. I have some excellent projects under my belt, but reaching people that I don't know personally has been a sticking point for finding new clients. I'm also looking for clients that can afford to pay studio rates, as well as rates that allow me to not be hourly. The biggest barrier to hiring me is often cited as budget. To summarise, how can I find clients who don't know me that can trust me enough to pay rates that can get us into studios around the city? So it's all about discovery, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's about discovery, it's about budget, and again, it's about niching down.
And positioning.
And networking. You're already doing a couple of jobs which have you networking in the perfect place you could be networking, and that's places like the power station in New York City. I mean, what better place to network in New York City than there? So you're going absolutely down the right path, and I think at the moment you're only young. You're kind of absorbing all this stuff like a sponge, which is a really good thing to do, but what will then happen is you'll find your specialist thing, and that's probably still evolving at the moment, and that's absolutely fine. So I'd say keep going.
Yeah.
But I can see you being the Morton Lindbergh of jazz. So you develop a very specific way of recording, which you're already doing using microphone techniques by Rudy Van Gelder and stuff like that. And you can, a Rudy Van Gelder record has a sound. There's no doubt about that at all. So you can use that to develop your own sound. You're getting into immersive recording and Atmos as well. I would really niche down on that. And the reason I would niche down on that is because then there are several opportunities for you to increase your income. So at the moment, you're basically students are your ideal customer avatar, and students haven't got any money because they haven't got a job yet.
Right.
They're still students. So you're targeting a customer avatar that doesn't have any money. What you should actually be doing is targeting the educational establishments that have those students. And you can do that by becoming an expert in, so you know about the history of Rudy Van Gelder's recording techniques, etc. You're bringing that into the modern age and getting into Dolby Atmos. And a perfect example to sort of look to inspiration for that would be Justin Gray. Is it Justin Gray? I don't know if you've seen any of Justin's content on YouTube about Atmos. Yes. So he goes into the weeds technically.
There's like a 3-hour
Yeah,
video that was released, I think, in 2021 or 2022 that was just like, oh, wow.
But now, again, this is about social media. If you look at his social media on Instagram, he's speaking at public events, he's doing seminars for universities. He is establishing himself as an absolute expert in Atmos and nothing else. He's not doing videos on how to restring a guitar or how to tune a floor tom. It's Atmos, it's immersive audio, and he's nailing it, and he's not getting vast numbers of views again, but what he is doing is he's attracting his ideal customer, and doing great work. So I think the key for you is to just kind of is for the moment to probably keep going, but target. You need to sort of target the enablers for this. So you need to find the 10%, and the 10% could be the education suppliers, rather than the people who are in the education system. Does that
make sense?
Make sense.
I would imagine there's probably a pathway there as well. Being an assistant engineer would be quite helpful.
Yeah, exactly.
In getting exposure to clients, and also is he off?
He's muted. Yeah.
I know it's a well-worn story, but being an assistant engineer, and especially in various different studios as well, you're going to have an opportunity to network with a vast array of people.
Yes.
Sorry, I could just hear Mark dying next
standard day at PDP. So it's interesting. So this customer, this person who's emailed, is trying to get people to trust them to pay higher rates. And that's all about positioning. Again, we keep saying it over and over again, but it's so critical when you're trying to sell a service to give the view of what kind of business you are or the service you're offering. So if you make yourself look, let's say you've got a website, which you should have. Let's say you've got a website, but it looks a bit crap. You don't really portray any kind of high-end quality on that. You're just like, I'm a basic budget engineer who will mix your stuff. You're not really going to be attracting those higher quality clients. If you're out networking and then you say to someone, check me out on my website, here's my email address, and they go and look at you and it looks like a really professional site, you look like a high-end, expensive engineer, in their mind, before they've even seen the price, they think, this looks really pro. They're probably do a good job, because people shop with their eyes.
Well, if you're in the power station. Yeah,
exactly. But before people have even seen your pricing, based on that, if you're in power station and your website looks good, your branding looks good, people automatically get the assumption that you will be good. People shop with their eyes. It's so important to get that branding right. And then based on how your branding is, that then also helps inform who your customer avatar is. So your customer avatar is defined by you, but you can help push things in that direction further based on how you're setting up your branding, basically. Hello. Decided to come back, have we?
Yeah.
I think as well that don't Berkeley own or have something to do with the power station now in New York?
I don't know.
There was a new course that was started there in the last couple of years.
Right.
So there's probably your thing on education and stuff might actually be a good in as well. But
I'd kind of focus on that. And you're doing some social media as well, because I've checked it out. There's a video where you it basically shows your process, which is great.
Yeah.
Again, this is another module we need to add, and we need to work on a bigger thing, because whilst the video's great, it just takes too long to get going. And I would imagine if that's on YouTube and you look at the sort of audience retention, it's just going to fall off a cliff after about 30 seconds, and no one's actually going to see what you want them to see, because there's too many establishing shots.
And that's something that can take quite a lot of practice to get right. It's taken us quite a long time over the years to refine how we make content to really get the most out of the first few seconds, which is the critical few seconds, because that's when people are scrolling through and the autoplay thing happens, and it's like, oh, that video looks interesting, think I'll watch that.
Yeah,
well,
and
people are going to switch off, aren't they? If you don't, if you the title of your video is offering something, that offer needs to at least be established or partially solved in the first 10, 15, 20 seconds, doesn't it?
Yeah, and again, a lot of that depends on who your audience is for that video, and time as well, and just how, just giving it time and how well people know you and know your brand, or
I think as your brand grows, you can become a bit more liberal with how you don't exercise things.
And if you just edit in for retention all the time, that can get very draining for the viewer. Sometimes you just want to, like with the podcast, sometimes if I'm going on a half an hour journey, I'm going to try and find a podcast that's about half an hour long. So a lot of it depends on the viewer as well, but your the sort of perception of the brand over time and all kinds of things. A classic example of that is probably the Blues Brothers. Anyone that's seen the original Blues Brothers edit and has then seen the kind of director's cut. In the original film, we established that we're in Chicago, there's some smoke coming out of some chimneys, and we're in the Joliet Correctional Facility. So, right, okay, this is a grim prison in a grim part of Chicago. And then we get into the film. If you watch the director's cut, that opening scene probably goes on for about 10 minutes. It goes on so long that it's actually hilarious. It's now, if it was John Landis, wasn't it, directed it, if he'd put that cut out originally, people would have started getting up and walking out of the cinema, because it doesn't make any sense unless you've watched the film 10 times and you kind of know what the story is. And then when you see the expanded version with all this extra incredible stuff in it, it sort of adds to the enjoyment. But if you'd have done that originally, it just would have completely bombed. So there's and that's why doing this takes a bit of time, and
Yeah. Great finish.
But you're doing a great job. You're in the right place.
Definitely.
And you're the right age. And I think you're just going to absolutely, something will happen and you will absolutely find your thing. And then you'll nail it. So maybe keep experimenting at the moment and just see what that thing is. But I've got a feeling it could be expanded. I think you could become the Rudy Van Gelder of the 21st century, maybe, and go into the immersive route, because that's very popular for kind of jazz listeners as well. There's a lot of people into jazz that are investing in immersive audio systems, because it's a great way to hear it.
Absolutely. On to the next question. I've just spent ages trying to work out your satanic printing ritual that you've done.
I just pressed print. That's to blame the printer.
Yeah. Right. I finally found the last question.
Satanic printing ritual.
Yes, it took me bloody ages to find the last one, but we're there eventually.
Sorry.
So, help, my meta ads campaign backfired. That's the title.
Oh.
Why oh?
Just oh. Carry on.
You
made that far more dramatic than it had to be.
It had to be dramatic.
It needs to be that dramatic.
There was an exclamation mark at the end of the sentence. It had to be dramatic.
Dramatic impact.
Yes. Oh. Anyway, I started recording and mixing back in 2017 as a way to produce my own songs and make them sound great. My genre is guitar-based music, mainly rock, punk, and grunge. Once I started to have a good understanding of what I was doing, recording and mixing, I began inviting friends over and help produce, record, and mix their tracks. Over the last few years, I've invested in good quality equipment, mics and instruments, acoustically treated my studio, etc. I can now professionally record drums, guitars, bass, and vocals. Full transparency, for the last year and a half, I've been targeting and accepting anyone and everyone like a fool. I created a Facebook ad and spent £5 a day for 12 months. The ad worked, 6 to 8 inquiries a month, but brought in a lot of the wrong clients because I hadn't niched down. The amount of rappers and people singing to backing tracks, oh my god, and with only charging an hourly rate, I wasn't filling the days or my bank account. It covered the advertising cost with a very small percentage on top. My website intro is currently focused on singer-songwriters because I've recorded and mixed quite a few albums for some folk artists in the area. I really enjoyed the music and the work. The other thought was, I see a lot of solo artists online playing guitar and vocals, that there would be more of them to target. So at the moment, the business is, as previously mentioned, struggling with ads, getting a few inquiries in, but nothing of substance. I get a lot of weed smoking rappers and singers recording to backing tracks. These people have no money. So that's a problem. My rate, which is ending very soon, is £40 per hour. So the bookings are usually only 2 hours recording plus 1 hour to mix the vocals into the track. So the rest of their money is clearly for purchasing weed. So you've got £120 per session, £40 an hour, 2 hours plus what? Yeah, £120 a session, which isn't a huge amount of money by any means. I've been contacted by and had conversations with a few younger bands, but they need to save up to be able to afford to make records. At the top of the playlist on my website, a track called Bird by a local Birmingham artist called Jamie. She's at uni and doesn't have much money, but she's an awesome songwriter. I produce songs with her for £200 a pop. 4 hours writing and recording. I play everything. And then 4 hours mixing. So that's, £25 an hour, hourly rate. To quote your video, I need interest from serious indie artists and career musicians. Do you want to comment on any of that, or just move on to the questions?
Yeah, no. So it's a common place to be, and it's because you've kind of answered your own questions there, really. So just to kind of summarise the backstory, because you're charging £40 an hour, you're attracting crap clients.
Yep.
So
you're underpricing yourself.
It's as simple as that. Yeah, you will. Yeah.
So you're essentially positioning yourself as a low value engineer.
Yeah, and therefore cheap clients are coming to you, and surprise, surprise, they're not the clients you want, as you're finding out.
Yep. So with the niching down, would targeting both rock bands and acoustic folk artists be a good idea? My niche possibly being recording guitar bands. Well, yes, as you've worked with folk artists before, you've got experience with them, it would make sense to push yourself in that direction if that's something you enjoy doing.
Yep.
The majority of my clients, rappers and vocalists, thanks to Facebook ads, are the ones who only want to book a few hours here and there for just one song. Should I get rid of these people altogether and try to steer them in to book... Sorry, should I get rid of this option and try to steer them in to booking whole days with several songs to record? But saying that, I'll hopefully be reducing the amount of those artists I get. I think it would be a challenge if they don't have the budget to get them to book in to do several records. If they can only find the budget for 3 hours or whatever to do one song, that's probably the most you're going to get out of them, because they are low value clients that don't dedicate the money to doing that.
Yeah, so this is a classic example of something that's very hard to do. You need to fire your clients.
Yep.
It's as simple as that. You just need to get rid of them, because they're you're just going to get burnout. You're going to start resenting what you do. They're going to ask for more and more and more, for less and less and less, and you just need to get rid of them.
Yep.
It's simple as that. So these are way down in the 90% market of the people that haven't got the budget to do this thing, and these are the people that need to be working with AI, not another human, because they just want to squawk something into a microphone. A backing track gets generated. Great. Share that with all your mates on Instagram whilst, you borrow someone's Lamborghini or whatever. Fantastic. That's a thing. That's absolutely fine.
Yep.
But that is the kind of market that AI is really going to move into and kind of take over, and it's welcome to it. To be honest, the amount of people I had send through when we were doing our free Testmaster service, the amount of tracks I got sent to me where the first question was, can you remove the watermark from the backing track? The watermark being a AI generated voice, probably going, "You can buy this track for 99 cents, and this watermark will be gone." Now, I'm really sorry, but if you're doing whatever you're doing over a backing track and you can't pay 99 fucking cents for the raw WAV file, then why the hell are you sending that to? Why are you sending that to anyone? Because I was offering a free Testmaster service, so they, again, free.
With a watermark
Just
all over it.
lowball dog shit clients. Get rid of them altogether. AI can do that shit.
It does seem like there are potential opportunities with the artists. Particularly, he was talking about a girl he
Jamie,
works with,
yeah.
where obviously, you know, he's still getting paid to do that, but it sounds like he's passionate about it as well.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's a
Yeah.
content opportunity there. If that's a continuing relationship and a way of showing what you can do to the world.
Sure.
With regards to the meta ads, is it the case that through the meta ads he's mainly getting clients that he doesn't want?
Yeah.
I believe that's the case, yeah.
Right, okay. So
Yeah,
it's
so
probably,
stop those.
Stop those.
But yeah,
Stop the ads.
don't do any more of those.
Stop the ads or change the way you're doing them because you're selling the wrong thing.
The advantage of the Jamie thing again as well is that it's someone you can grow with. So at the moment, you produce songs with her for £200 a pop. If you can help get those songs reach, which is the outcome that she'll want, not just the quality of the recording, but she wants to reach an audience. If you can help enable that, then this is how people like Trevor Horn started. They started by being Trevor Horn never engineered anything. He Steve Lipson would do that. He had the specialists doing the thing, but he knew. And the same with Pete Waterman. You put Pete Waterman in front of an SSL console, and he'll go, "Oh yeah, that's nice, isn't it? Where's my train set?" He was the one that could sell the records. He'd be the one going out into the clubs and playing a record that they'd just done a test pressing of to see how the club reacted. And if it was crap, if everyone went to the bar, he'd take that back and go to Phil Harding, who is the mixing engineer, and go, "No one's dancing. Turn the bass up, or do this, or do that," or they'd re-engineer it. And that's really what that's where producing comes. A lot of people get carried away with the technical again when it comes to producing, but if you can give an artist an outcome that they want, which is to reach an audience, then you're getting success for the and as they grow. So in the case, Jamie from Birmingham, as she grows with you helping her, then you've got a really good collaboration there, and that's then a service that you can. Then you've got 90% of your money coming from one client, which you don't want. So that's when you can kind of branch out and work with other artists to do the same.
I'll give you an example. What I did with an artist, really liked their music, loved it. And so I charged them half price for the project. But I said, because they had money coming in, but they didn't have a lot of money. And so I said to them, but what I want you to do is use that other half to promote.
Right, yeah.
I will guide you through that process. I will show you how to do it. But we need to get people hearing your music so the next time that you do an album, you can pay full price and it doesn't feel like it's a pain in the ass for you. But that also helps me because more people are starting to see their work as well.
So it's this stupid chair that I'm on.
It's like I thought just sitting on a whale.
And it worked.
Yeah. Is there?
I didn't devalue myself, but I also
you added value.
But we worked together as well. So it didn't take a lot of my time to show them my process post-production, where it's like, okay, you can do X, Y, Z with, whether it's meta ads or whether it's certain Instagram, Facebook posts, whatever it might be. But it really did help, and I think there's a way that you could do that with Jamie, for example. You could actually use that project. You're still getting some remuneration for your time, but if you can use it in a way to help promote both of you, that's going to be a good outcome.
Yeah. So this person is trying social media to get clients and they're getting the wrong people. Is there an inherent risk, and Sam, you'll be the best qualified to answer this, is there an inherent risk with social media in that a lot of it is just crap? A lot of it is just, brain rot nonsense.
That's a good thing.
But is that a good thing? Does that mean that you're appealing to people on social media that just
No, it's not a good thing for society, but it's a good thing for you if you actually can create value on social media, because it means actually you're going to stand out more.
But if specifically, I know that if we're creating content or whatever, fine. But for this specific person who's doing ads to try and find clients,
yeah,
you've got the ad targeting very wrong.
I straight away, I as soon as you said who was getting in touch from the ads, it's like the targeting is wrong on the ads.
So you just need to further define your customer avatar and get that right to avoid the nonsense.
Yeah, or just not do ads yet at all. I think ads only really work when there's a library of content to back up those ads, which again is the know, like and trust thing. Very few people see an ad. You might see an ad on TikTok for a 10 quid lipstick and think, oh yeah, I'll order that. Bomp. But you're not going to see an ad on, TikTok or Instagram for £1,000 mixing service and just buy it. You're going to want to research that person, which again is why niching down comes in.
Yeah, it's your entry. Instagram, exactly, if you're doing meta ads, and I would recommend you only use Instagram for that. This your entry point. That's the know and like and trust part. You want people to then be going to your profile and looking through whether it's your portfolio or whatever the value is that you're offering, and then and we have written a module on this recently that we will try and get out there. That's then about either you or them getting in touch with. They might get in touch with you, or you might get in touch with them if you notice a trend of engagement.
So it's like we said the other day, it's Instagram is the kind of fishing net to grab the people, and then your website is where you really
but it's not a fishing net, it's more a rod. It's more a what's the thing they use in the Amazon?
Harpoon.
A harpoon.
It's like you want to make sure that the people that are looking at what you're doing, it doesn't matter how many people are looking, ignore the numbers. It's about the quality of the person that's actually going and looking at it. If I'm running a campaign for somebody who's trying to get their music listened to, I'm not interested in the volume of people. I'm interested in the amount of people that go and listen to that song. And that person has to be the sort of person that's going to go and listen to that song again and again and again, because that person is far more valuable to me than 10 people going and listening to it once.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's the same with when you're trying to reach people, to work with. You want someone who, first of all, is going to go, oh, that's interesting, and then they'd want to see another ad a day later or a day after that reminds them of your existence. And again and again, and then they go, oh, this person looks like I know what they're talking about. Cool. And then they're on your feed, but then that's where you have to be posting content. But feel free to get in touch if you want to talk about strategies for meta ads. That's, I'd be more than open to discuss that with people.
There we go.
It's not for now, though. It's a bit complicated.
Yeah. So to go, to just go back over a couple of things, firing clients as well. There's a really easy way to fire the kind of bottom end clients like this, and it's you just switch to project based pricing, and then then that's not being rude to the people either. But then if one of these £40 per hour clients then contacts you and says, can we do another song, you say yes, but I'm really busy, I'm £800 a song, and then they go away.
And you might think, well, hang on, then I'm just going to lose all those clients that are currently paying me £40 a month. But that's what you want. You need to do that because you need to find the higher value clients.
Otherwise, your diary's filled with clients doing the 40 quid an hour work, and you haven't got time to find new ones.
Other thought experiment, which is also true. Some of those people doing those, rap into back, they do have money to pay as well.
Just need to find them.
If you're not passionate about the music, you should bin it off. But in general, there
are people doing that music who have money. It's the same with everything. And you just need to find the people who have the money.
And again, this is only a thing to do if you love the genre. It's a case of if you actually enjoy working with those clients, then instead of them rapping over a backing track, you need to be working with the 9% and producing the backing track. So you're actually producing the foundation of the stuff that they're working on.
Yes, got your hello said the problem I see with all the course-based services is converting someone from free content to paid. I feel you're really selling more of yourself and a community than the product itself. Well, the product has value. There is intrinsic value in what we're teaching.
He's spot on.
But yeah, you're right. It's
that is what
yeah. Well, we are trying to be as helpful as possible. Right, we've run out of questions.
We're running questions. Are there any in the Trevor says, I think we need a Sam Rec masterclass. Yep, we definitely do.
Masterclass in what?
Well, what you've been talking about.
In curly hair.
Yeah, and we definitely need that. Anything else? Yeah, Hellcat5 Music says TikTok is a specific algorithm. It's not really luck, it's skill. The ability to understand why people listen to X song and being able to make songs that they know people will want to hear. That's it's the same with growing your business.
I mean, just a little tidbit there, like, is it tidbit or titbit? I think I said titbit,
I believe.
didn't I?
Titbit.
Which I don't endorse that kind of language. Sorry, now. Is it's worth being aware of with TikTok that I don't personally, for me, especially if we're talking like people in course land with us and stuff like that, I don't think it's essential. It's driven by what you interact with as a user. If you're social media averse, I'd stay away from TikTok, basically, without getting too into the weeds with it.
There we go. Marcus, anything to add?
No, don't think so.
There we go.
There will be more questions there's more questions coming in all the time, so we'll do another one of these to answer some of those. And we'll look at how we can.
So if you're curious about
move forward.
Yeah, if you're curious about any of the stuff that we've discussed in this live stream, in the description there's a couple of links. There's a link to last week's live stream, which if you missed, there are lots of questions just like these, great questions. We go really into detail about all of that kind of stuff, and then links to the course that we're discussing, which will help you to grow your business from shit to not shit.
As long as you put the work in.
As long as you put the work in. It's not a magical bucket of money.
This isn't essentially earning a living from something you enjoy is very difficult. And so there's no silver bullet, there's no quick fix. What we're trying to do is we're trying to educate you in the stuff that particularly me, but you as well, got wrong. And
hey, don't leave me out. I got things wrong too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So as you don't make those same mistakes, and it's hourly rates. It's trying to appeal to everyone and appealing to no one. There's lots of things that. Yeah.
Lovely.
I've gone sort of up and down.
Right.
I've run out of words.
We're running out of
we
words.
need to see. Everyone always thinks it's me that's AI, but we need to boot Mark up again. I think.
Yeah, Mark needs restarting.
Yeah, I definitely do.
Cool. Right.
It's food time.
Right. Shut up then, and we'll finish the live stream.
Okie dokie.
So, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you to our course members for sending in those questions.
Great
Very
questions.
much appreciated. We may do another one of these in the future. I'm sure we'll work that out.
We will do another one of these in the future.
We will do another one of these. And yeah, if you want to find out more, all of those linkies are in the description. Very handy. And I hope you've enjoyed and found it useful. Thank you for watching, and you will see us next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.